da 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 dum. Ya da ya da ya da 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 ya da da da. Ah ya da da. Ya da da ya da da. Ya da ya da 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 ya da da. Ay, 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 ya, ay, 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 dum, ya, ay, 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 ya, ay, 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 ya ya da da da, ah ya da dum, oh ya da ya da ya da, ah ya dum, ay ay da da ya da da. Ay 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 dum. Ay 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 dum. Yai dai 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 ya da da dai yai dai ya dai dai yai yai dai dai dum. Boker Tov, good morning. The most beautiful day so far, I think, of summer is today. As I've mentioned before, each and every Friday is a reminder of just the traumatic events of my life, or my wife's life, or the end of her life. And Shabbat comes as a blessing, and also, as far as time, comes as a curse for us. But this morning when I walked out the door, I thought, wow, at least the weather is amazing today. And it felt exactly like that. It felt like there was some sort of breeze in the air. And at her funeral, Rabbi Jamie talked about this breeze, this wind. And I opened the door today and the wind hit me. Just like at her funeral, all of a sudden the wind picked up. It was sweltering that day. And so, as the wind blows, we hope it blows memory, story, smiles, love. Today the girls are 7 weeks old. It feels like they're like 7 years old and 7 minutes old all at the same time. So they're doing great and just enjoyable and adorable. And so I'll post pictures later. My sister just left for a walk with them, or is leaving for a walk with them. Otherwise I would bring them on the screen, or maybe I still will do that if she didn't leave yet. But I want to bring us back to Torah, just because, well, this is what we do here, right? It's a little bit of self and a little bit of Torah. Sometimes they mix nicely. Sometimes they have nothing to do with one another. So today, fast forwarding to this minute, today was or is costume day at Ellis's camp. So I asked him what costume does he want to wear, because the whole week I'm thinking, I don't know, like every costume he owns is like a costume. It's for fall. If you're in the house with air conditioning, okay, it's fine. You can run around in your costume. But he wanted to only wear one of two costumes, which were an anteater or a meerkat, which we have both. But both of them are like fuzzy costumes with hands and feet and whole kind of headgear. And he said, Ima, it doesn't matter if it's hot outside. Do you think I'm going to wear the costume for the whole day? I have water clothes on. Like he's just like, why are you worrying about something so dumb? If I'm hot, I'll take off the part of the costume, or if I'm hot, I won't wear it. And I'm thinking like, no, you're never going to take it off, because if you could wear it 24 hours a day, you would wear it 24 hours a day. So it was like this like internal conflict, and I was just thinking about how this parsha talks about the talking donkey or the she-ass or the ass or whatever, and I'm thinking like, at this moment, Ellis, you might as well just be a donkey, like a talking donkey, because you would never be quiet. And so I laughed to myself, and he said, what are you laughing at? I said, oh, you should have been a donkey. He said, oh, I would have been a donkey, but I don't have that costume. But I think donkeys maybe aren't smart. And I just left it at that, because I just laughed to myself. I was going to go into the whole spiel about Torah, although he might have liked the story. So a little bit more on this story. As I started here, the nigun that I was singing is Ma Tovu. It might have been familiar to you. Is every morning we say it, and we talked about it on Wednesday, which was the recitation or the saying or the speaking of the words Ma Tovu, which are part of our everyday liturgy and part of our tradition. And so instead of, just to go back to remind you, or maybe teach you if you weren't here then, that God made sure that Balaam was never able to curse the Israelites, which is what the plan was. Rather, he uttered words of blessing. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How good are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel. And so, as I referenced, as I touched upon, it was talking about the arrangement of the tents where the people were. That everybody had their own tent, everybody had their own shelter in whatever array and aligned the way they were. But there is a distinct detail that says that the dwelling places, the tents, didn't directly face one another. So it was like your neighbor next door, but not your neighbor across the street whose door might be aligned directly to you. But it gave you a sense of community because it was laid out a certain way. That people weren't going to necessarily be in your business, but how great it was that there were tents, that there were places and community that came together. The dwelling places of the Jews, of the Israelites. So Rashi's comment, Rashi, the great commentator, comments bring out a special, I don't know. Actually, Rashi's comments make us think, usually. Sometimes bizarre, sometimes, you know what? I wonder about that. And in this moment, in this parsha, the parsha of Balak, Rashi's comments allow us to think deep, but with some simple words. What does it mean in your heart to have a good place to live? What does it mean in your heart to have a good place to live? We think about how many people are homeless. We think about how many people are provided shelter or going to shelters, but they don't want to go there because it's a disgrace. They talk about not really being able to live there. They talk about infestation. They talk about, okay, yeah, they're going to provide us with housing, but who would live in those places, right? And so that's often brought up. But we think about our own places. What does it mean to have a good place to live? What does it mean to say that Ma Tovu? What does it mean to say the dwelling places of Israel? The tents of Jacob, the places where Jews dwell. What does it mean for your own self, the good place to live? Israel as a people, the Jewish people, were moving forward toward their own land. They were on the way. And they're not there yet, but they made a stop. They made a place. They set up a community of tents, homes that were created in an atmosphere that would respect one another. That would say, hey, I have my own individual, but as a collective, here we are as community. Community comes with homes that respect one another. Simple. Some of us live in communities where we feel that. Some of us live in communities where we don't talk to our neighbors because of something that has happened or nothing that has happened, and that's just what it is. Some of us live in neighborhoods that we can't even see our neighbors' houses. They're so far away, and so we don't have that communal feel. We see community in different places, in schools and social circles and things like that. In every community, there's undoubtedly those that are richer, those that are poorer, yet every family in Israel had a space to live. All the Israelites, no matter the size of your tent, no matter if you had a tent, you didn't have a tent, you had a dwelling place. You had a space. You had a respectable spot, and you were respected. Could you imagine if each of us had a respectable spot and all of us were respected? It'd be a world that we'd actually want to live in, I think. From these homes of respected and respectful, they were able to have a brighter future without really even trying. Because imagine yourself for a moment being respected and respectful of others at the same time. It's kind of it's like when they talk about the angels going up and down the ladder. It's like continuously happening, and so it's always finding some sort of homeostasis, some sort of balance. Imagine from those tents, from those places, from one person to multiple people in their own land that could work together to build with their own hands and improve it, the community, improve it, and themselves. To improve the place, the community, and in turn, you are improving yourself by doing it and by receiving it. A good place to live is a place of decency. A place where you want to build your future, but it kind of builds itself because you are sustained by the community, by the current, by the spirit, by God, by universe, by whatever it is that will uplift. Building future by being in the present. Building future by being respectful, respectable, and respected. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. Your dwelling place. When we pray, when we quiet our minds and open our hearts, we become servant in the house of God. God, we love your house, your habitation, the dwelling place of your glory. Let us serve you with our hands, with the toil of healing the world, with the labor of kindness and compassion. And we will become your abode of love and charity, of thanksgiving and peace, doing your will and joy, rejoicing in your work. How goodly are the tents of Jacob, the dwelling places, Israel. Let our lives become a temple, a sanctuary of praise and service, and you will dwell in us. Respectful, respectable, respectful, respectable, respected. It's a pleasure to be with you, Margaret and Linda, Sean, Vic, Elisa, Debbie, Amy, all of you that are watching live and those that you will watch at other times. A reminder that is tonight we will be together at 7, not 7:30. reminding you, 7, not 7:30. We'll continue to show up for one another, 9:30 tomorrow, and then Monday again, 9:30 moving forward. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. We hope to have some time to be together in person soon, hopefully an August date. We hope and pray that we'll continue to support each other, because from my tent and Rabbi Jay's tent to your tent and all of the tents, we build community. And that's how we live, and that's how we love, and that's how we are respected and respectful and respectable. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Or Avinu Chai.